In 1865, the Northern Victorian gold rush was about to change forever, because a party of 16 miners had just discovered the first gold-bearing quartz reef in the Yakandanda goldfields. And there's still evidence in the Australian bush today of those quartz miners producing huge amounts of hard rock gold. This is a waste rock pile from one of the first hard rock mines in the northeast of Victoria. All of that was dug out with dynamite and picks. All of that rock came from deep underground. They were chasing quartz seams that were holding the gold. And this just here is one of the biggest mines in the northeast, the Wallaby. Just look at the size of this freaking hole. The miners came into the hillside chasing that quartz and they ferreted out heaps of tunnels, and this whole mine has since collapsed. You can still see remnants of their tunnels down there, and that is where those waste rock piles originated from. You can even see one of the quartz veins in the wall there that they were chasing. It's one thing to dig a ginormous pit like this, but it's another thing entirely to process the ore you've collected. How they processed the ore back in the day was truly a feat of modern engineering. Even though the gold rush started in 1851 here in Beechworth, quartz mining didn't start till 1862 because of the alluvial flats. The miners were so preoccupied with the easy alluvial gold, they left the hard rock gold alone. The biggest problem for the first quartz miners on the field was the nearest state battery was the indigo battery. And it cost £5 for them to take 1 ton of stone to that battery and have it processed. That's the equivalent of about $800 today, and they had to do it on horseback and with a cart. And without modernized steam or water-powered rock crushers, they were down to a hand-powered state battery that took 1 week to process 1 ton of ore. Look at this, hand-stacked walls to try and hold the waste rock from that massive mine back so it didn't destroy their access track. Things like this I love finding out in the bush. This is well over 170 years old. These waste rock piles are literally probably 4 or 5 stories tall. It wasn't until 1864 that the first stamp batteries powered by steam and water appeared on these gold fields to process this rock. The hand-operated Burdam machine located at the Polar Star Reef was soon outdated, and by late 1868 there were 5 steam and water-powered rock crushers on the gold fields, with the most impressive of which was the Pride and Stringer at Bat Creek just south of Yakandanda, which had a 20-head stamp battery. I'm pretty sure we're going the right way. With the mines really far up in the hills, they had to get their ore down to the creek where they could process it with their water or steam powered crusher. And that's where their first major bit of engineering comes in, and that's their roads. Their roads are still visible today. This is a track that was laid in over 150 years ago. And just down there is the first signs of what we're here for, an original 12-head stamp battery. If there wasn't 100 meters of vertical drop between me and that creek, you know I'd be down there with a pan. Here it is, a stamp battery. This is one of only 5 stamp batteries left out in the bush. A lot of them were used for manufacturing for the war effort during World War I and World War II. This mammoth 12-head battery was responsible for crushing all of the ore that came out of the mine sitting above it. This heavy steel object, known as a lifter, would have sat on top of the battery, up there. Then these tines would have come down and around, lifted up the steel driver pole before releasing it, and this heavy hammer would have dropped down on top of the quartz that was being fed in from the back. And you can see those 3 quartz chutes just here. So there would have been an old timer standing about there, dumping their ore in. On the collection side of it, you would have had a plate covered in mercury sitting in front of these crushers. The ore would have tumbled out across the top, the gold would have amalgamated with that mercury, and later on they could have used a retort or burnt off the mercury to recover the gold. But that's not the only thing they did. They could have used sluice boxes, they could have taken the ore down to the creek and processed it in any number of gravity feed ways. And this whole thing was powered by a steam or a water wheel. You can see the massive drive shaft sitting over here. This would have been directly connected to the lifter here. And I'm pretty sure that's what this brick structure is. This brick structure looks like the foundations to where there is a support post where you would have had the drive shaft going across. And given that I can see high pressure pipes sitting in the bushes here, and the creek is still about 70 meters below me, this would have been powered by steam. I think this is actually an old ore cart. Look at that. Yeah, that is. This is one of the massive valves they would have used to power that steam engine. That's the rest of the cart over here. Look at that. Wow. You know, a mine was really rich when they had ore carts made of steel like this. The ones that I found were usually made out of timber. And the fantastic thing is you can come and visit this yourself. This is called the Wallaby Mine Site, or the Wallaby 12-Head Battery. It's just outside of Beechworth. It's a reasonably easy hike down to it. I suggest if you're ever in the area, come and check out this amazing piece of gold rush history.